Baby, I'ma leave you on red. Yeah, I know you want me. You better get in line. I'm everybody's dream girl. See me when you lay your head down at night.
Hello and welcome to Here for the Chaos episode 7. I am your host, Lilac. I'm actually on time. I'm even a little early. As you can see, or if you're just listening, you can't see, but I got some bomb-ass makeup going on. Okay, I got clouds, rain, jewels. There's a lot happening, and if you are listening, you really need to switch to video to appreciate it for a second. I'll let you appreciate it. Hold on. Like, well, hey there, it's editing me. I decided while editing this back that I want to give you all a chance to pick what I put on my green screen for every video. Has to be appropriate, of course. Don't want to get taken down. We're on the road to 1 million. Woo! I think this could be something that's really cool and fun and a good way to involve you guys. Comment down below what I should put on my green screen for the next video. And let's get to it. So, my makeup is rainy, gloomy, because for one, it's raining in Vegas. Hallelujah, how crazy is that? I know. Not only is it raining, it's flooding. I feel like I can be one of those headspace narrators. And so taking a moment to take a deep breath, thinking of the world around you. It's raining. Shit, what would I say after that? Hold on. Stay relaxed. Don't tense up. We're going to sleep. It's raining and the scent of pine fills the air. Taking a deep breath in for 4, out for however long it takes you to subscribe to my channel. Now, isn't that relaxing? Okay, anyway, hire me headspace. The topics we're going to be talking about today are very macabre, very sad, very triggering. So, trigger warning now for child abuse, mental health discussions, all that kind of thing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We just passed 80 subscribers. We're on the road to 100. I'm so excited. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about 8 Passengers today. If you're not aware, 8 Passengers was a vlog channel consisting of 2 parents, Ruby and Frab. Listen, with Ruby and Kevin Frank and their 6 children. Their channel started in 2015, and they're not a small channel either. They have 2.5 million subs. They have an IMDb page? What the flip? They are from Utah. They live very strict, very religious, and their channel has always been something that's struck most people the wrong way because I think most family channels do. They're just weird and invasive. But I remember first hearing about Ruby when she was literally in tears and having a tantrum over the fact that her daughter's school was playing the song Low.
Okay, so here's what's going on. Julie is in a PE class over at the middle school, and for PE, this teacher is doing dance. The teacher is going to have all of the students in her class, which includes Julie, do a TikTok dance for the school. And I said, a TikTok dance? What are the dance moves? And she's like, well, in the real dance, they're kind of naughty, but she said just to do something different there. And I said, what do you mean? She says, well, some of the girls still twerk. I said, okay. What song? So you hear me asking questions. I'm getting curious with her. I said, what songs are in this? And she told me one of the songs. It is straight up hardcore. Straight up. No one was trying to look out for what was best for these kids. This teacher is being very selfish because she wants to be hip, up to date, cool, doing TikTok, entertaining the school. She wants to be liked by the teens. And so I'm going to be going into the school.
She is enraged to the point of embarrassing her daughter and crying online.
I am so upset.
I said, my problem is the choice of songs. And she says, well, all the songs were approved by me. The teacher put together a list of songs and she gave them to me and I approved them. So you approved this song that has all of these lyrics in it. And she says, well, we're not dancing to those lyrics. It's just a portion. And she says, I think it's really great because I actually really like it because Smiths used it in their commercial. It's part of pop culture. It's all over the place. I would hope that the principal where my kids go to school, that the standard would be truth, that the standard would be principles. And she says, well, what's moral for you isn't going to be moral for other parents. You know, you're complaining about this song, but I've got 30 other parents that just think it's wonderful.
Like, I can't process this, you guys. And yeah, there is bad stuff in this song, and no, children should not be dancing to this song at school. But obviously, if it's a clean part of it, it's really not bad. And listen, I totally understand what she's saying in terms of not wanting her daughter to be introduced to this song at school, and definitely isn't good for children to hear this from maybe a teacher. But sharing all of this online, this is incredibly embarrassing, because now not only is she embarrassing her daughter by going to the school and talking to the teacher, the principal, the vice principal, trying to get this song changed, she's now gone to the school multiple times for multiple meetings and is posting on the internet that she's crying over a song, and she's going to the school board about it. She's literally naming her daughter in these videos, and she's just sharing way too much.
She says, well, you know, if Julie wants to get out of the class, I'm totally fine making adjustments. Whatever would make Julie feel comfortable, I'm open to doing. I will, if she doesn't want to participate, that's fine. And I said, you're missing the whole point of why I'm here. I am not here for anyone's comfort, including my daughter's. I'm not here to make her comfortable. Of course she can move classes, not because you said so, but because I said so. I'm the parent.
Apple palm chain, boats when the farm with the fire. The whole club is looking at her. She hit the flow, she hit the flow. Now she, you know, if you can copyright that, I will be shook, because that sounded terrible. It sounded like it was in a garbage disposal. That was the video that I first got introduced to her. I also remembered a separate video. Maybe I've heard about her more than I thought, because I remember two. One where her daughter, who was like 4 or 5 at the time, forgot to pack her lunch. The school was calling her to say, hey, your daughter forgot her lunch, but that's no problem because we have food in here that we can give her. And Ruby was straight up like, no, don't feed her, because it's her responsibility to remember to bring her food. So let her just be hungry for the day.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
And I was like, she's 4. Sometimes I forget to eat and make my own food too. And I'm in my 20s. So I'm a little surprised that you would say that, especially because like it's your kid, like your little 5-year-old. They're so cute. Of course, they're not going to do their taxes and freaking have an organizer and have a lunch going and dress themselves with fashions that only they've sewn. You could just teach her that if she needs help from time to time, as everyone does, you'll give it because you're her mother and that's what you're there for. And she's 5 and she's 5. I forget to do shit all the time. You know how big my pile of laundry is? Months worth, lady. Months worth. You're gonna tell me that you never forget to do anything? Oh, you forgot to put your brain in this morning. So, oops. I hope nobody gives you one. I just couldn't fathom that. I also remember that one of her sons, I think it was Chad, he pulled a prank or something on the other little brother, which is harmless. That's something kids do. They pull pranks, and she took his room away for like a year and had him sleeping on some kind of beanbag or something. I just remember thinking she really is taking it a step too far, way farther than other family channels, which is already saying a lot because family channels tend to push it and they're very weird. You know how I feel about family channels. They really should be abolished. I think they're terrible. In fact, there are some new laws swimming around to make sure that there are more restrictions to help out children, which is about damn time. They had been facing allegations for a long time. Like a lot of channels reported on them and we all collectively were like, this is kind of weird. So just think like the worst family vlogger, you know, Ace Family, that kind of vibes, but like 10 times worse. They even sent their son away to one of those camps. I'm not sure what kind of camp Okay, so Chad was sent to a wilderness camp. The reasoning why they sent him away is not clear. I think it had something also to do with like the pranks and just being quote unquote selfish. Ruby labels a lot of things that kids do just to be kids as selfish. So it's really no way to know. It was probably over nothing. But he was sent to the Anasazi Foundation Wilderness Therapy Program, which is designed for youths between the ages of 12 to 17 who are struggling with substance abuse. I guarantee you it was weed and it probably wasn't that serious, but I don't know. So that's speculation, alleged, all that stuff. I have no clue. So let's do some real-time research on the Anastasia Beverly Hills camp to see what it's really about. The Anasazi Foundation Teens Outdoor Therapy Treatment Center. So I see the reviews. Caution, initially staff is very receptive and accommodating before your child enrolls, but once your child is discharged from the program, no one will return your calls or emails. This place mistreats and abuses children while calling itself an adolescent center. This place is horrible and disgusting. Troubled teen outreach places will not help your kid. There's a YouTuber I subscribe to that talks about the troubled teen industry, and it sounds absolutely horrible. I'm not sure why it's legal. You get the gist. That's the kind of family they are. I remember Chad saying something about how he just felt like he was a bad kid. Nothing he did was right, and it's very sad. And one of the oldest girls said she couldn't wait to get away from her mom to go to college. Like, it just seemed like a very suffocating and environment, to say the least. It should also be noted that Ruby has siblings who do not agree with this lifestyle and have been very vocal about that. I think her family actually has cut her off for quite some time now. So now introduce connections. No, it's not a porn site, but what it is horrible. Ruby pairs with this disgraced family and marriage therapist named Jody Hildebrand, and she actually had her license put on probation. Apparently she was doing all kinds of stuff, like doing couples therapy and then telling the two parts of the couple one-on-one that the other one was talking shit and she was just breaking up couples. She's a nutcase all on her own, and if you want me to do more of a deep dive, let me know. Another thing that got her license suspended or put on probation, well, she is a self-admitted porn addiction therapist. Okay, I find that interesting. Has been reprimanded by the state for discussing a patient without his permission with his LDS church leaders. Oh, so she basically went to his church and was like, this one whacks off or something like that, which, like, how do you think we all got here? Like, everyone likes to boink uglies. It's 2023. I think we need to stop pretending like everything we do, watch, consume, make, somehow, besides obviously children's content, it all goes back to, hey, you're hot, let's boink nasty parts. Like, come on now. Yeah. The founder of the company, Jody Hildebrand, is a therapist who had her license suspended in 2012 after she disclosed a patient's porn addiction to his Mormon church leaders. Why would you do that? And when would that come up? Anyways, sex is good. It's healthy. Do it if you're of age. It's fine. So then Ruby pairs with this woman to start a support group for other parents who are basically looking for advice on their children, except they didn't get any advice. It was basically like Ruby and Jody going, everything children do, bad. Everything you do, bad. Everything you and everyone else do, bad. Is child gay? Bad. Is child breathe? Bad. Is child laughing? Bad. Is child crying? Bad. The general consensus was just, you suck as a parent and your child sucks. Now pay us. And it was during this time when she started this group that she really started to get unhinged, which fast forward us to now, they both have been arrested. You heard me. Ooh, a plane. ADHD, sorry. Comes in waves, people. Yeah, you heard me right. They have been arrested. And we're going to read about why, because it really, truly is wild. Host of YouTube parenting channel is charged with child abuse. Strap in. This is where it gets dark. Ruby Frank, a Utah mother known for chronicling her strict parenting style, was arrested after one of her children ran to a neighbor's house seeking help. She was arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse this week after one of her children climbed out a window and ran to a nearby house seeking help. Ruby Frank, 41. Why is this article so redundant? Come on, New York Times. Ruby Frank, 41, was arrested on Wednesday in Ivins, a city in southern Utah, at the home of Jody Hildebrand, her business partner, who was also arrested. Miss Frank hosted the now defunct YouTube channel 8 Passengers, where she posted videos about her parenting approach with her 6 children, including refusing them food as a form of punishment. Miss Frank and Miss Hildebrand were each charged Friday with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, according to the Washington County Attorney's Office. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000, the attorney's office said. According to an affidavit, Miss Franke's 12-year-old son, identified as RF in the document, climbed out a window at Miss Hildebrandt's home and went to a neighbor's house on Wednesday morning, asking for food and water. The child had duct tape on his ankles and wrists, as well as open wounds. He appeared to be emaciated and malnourished. The neighbor called the police, who then found Miss Franke's 10-year-old daughter, Eve, at Miss Hildebrandt's. She also appeared to be malnourished, the affidavit said. Both children were taken to the hospital. The boy was placed on a medical hold due to his deep lacerations from being tied up with rope and from his malnourishment, according to the affidavit. Miss Franke was seen on a YouTube video filmed in Miss Hildebrandt's home that was posted 2 days ago, the affidavit said, adding that Miss Franke and Miss Hildebrandt, 54, had knowledge of the abuse, malnourishment, and neglect. The two children were believed to be in direct care of Miss Hildebrandt, the police said. A search of Miss Hildebrandt's home found evidence consistent with the markings found on the 12-year-old, the police said in a statement. The police contacted the Utah Division of Child and Family Services, and a total of 4 children were taken into its care. There was also police scanner audio that was released. I'm going to insert that here.
12x11, 12x4, if you can back on a child abuse. Repeat said a 12-year-old male showed up with tape around his legs, thirsty, asking for help, said he was afraid, asking for police. However, he gave the name of Russell Franke, unknown date of birth, or he did give us a date of birth, but I'm not showing any Russells and Spillman. I'll keep looking into that. The RP said he left through the porch of the neighbor's house. Stand for break 12x11 and 17 to 1014. The male does have duct tape around each ankle. He's not telling the RP why, and said that there's sores around his wrists and ankles. He's becoming, or correction, the RP is becoming emotional regarding the child's health. I'm going to go ahead and have medical stage on this one. Said that he left from a neighbor's of Jody Hildebrandt. And Ivan's 54-year-old female, not sure if they're related. When asking the RP's parents info, he said his mom is Ruby Franke, unknown where she lives. 12x11, 12x17. I do have a Ruby Franke spelling with an E on the end of Franke, address out of Springville. Only involvement was a traffic offense a couple days ago. He's also saying that there's 2 of his sisters are back at the home as well.
Copy that.
The wounds on his leg are pretty good. 12x511, 314 medical is going to transport him. Said that his wounds are in need of immediate care.
Sherry Franke, now a junior at Brigham Young University, which is one of Ruby's daughters, posted about her mother's arrest on Instagram saying justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this and so glad they finally decided to step up, she wrote, referring to the Division of Child and Family Services. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Ruby's sisters also made a statement. For the last 3 years, we have kept quiet on the subject of our sister Ruby Franke for the sake of her children. Behind the public scene, we have done everything we could to try and make sure the kids were safe. We wouldn't feel right about moving forward with regular content without addressing the most recent events. Once we do, we will not be commenting on it further. Ruby was arrested, which needed to happen. Jody was arrested, which needed to happen. The kids are now safe, which is the #1 priority. All right, it's editing me here. This story is ongoing and developing by the second, so I needed to come back in here with an update on the sisters' statement. People are not taking kindly to it. The comments have been turned off. However, if you check any of their other posts on their pages where the comments are still on, everybody's not happy. People are saying, maybe you should take a break from vlogging. Maybe don't go back to usual content. Take time for your family. Also research the impact of child abuse and cults because the children will definitely not be okay after this. Someone else said, nice to know that you're enjoying a fun family life. Your nieces and nephews were starving and suffering and you knew about it. No amounts of thoughts and prayers will change that. I personally feel as though YouTube needs to take action towards these family vlogs. These children are not old enough to understand the ramifications. As a mom of 4, I truly can't imagine posting daily videos of my children's lives without them having the maturity to consent for the world to watch them. I very, very, very much agree with this opinion. That's part of the reason why I also agree that family vlogs should be abolished. Another person said, you're all complicit. There were some comments coming to their defense. Ignore any negativity because people that small-minded unfortunately have no clue about this kind of horror, thankfully. Did anyone not read their post they posted on here? They did help, but in silence. They aren't going to blast all the legal stuff on social media. Get over yourselves and maybe be more understanding of how everyone in the family is feeling. You all make me absolutely sick how cruel you are saying stuff to people you don't even know anything about. You all talk about how sick they make you, but you are just as cruel by bullying them online. You all need help. Maybe it is bullying, but at the same time, I think given the allegations, a strong reaction is to be expected. And then one last one, someone said, you poor things, I'm sorry you're being treated this way. Anyone with any background or understanding of how the legal and social system works would validate the way you dealt with this this behind closed doors. Being quiet does not mean being absent. Often it's part of a protective process where change in action can take place without the awareness of abusers who may be driven to inflict worse behavior, creating worse outcomes for those being abused. You're not wrong to live your life. Your kids deserve to have a loving family who makes fun memories regardless of the bigger picture. Look after yourselves. There has since been several updates. One of these sisters has posted a video update. We're going to go into that and watch that together.
I've got regular scheduled content that was supposed to go out tomorrow, Friday, and it is Thursday evening, and this week has been nothing that I could have anticipated.
Right off the bat, I really don't give a fuck about your content schedule being messed up. I think that that's a very self-centered and conceited and tone-deaf way to start it. Not trying to lay into her, but I'm just saying right off the bat, it's giving tone-deaf.
I don't think any of us could have really anticipated. If you have the internet, you have seen news articles on my sister.
I do think you could have anticipated a little bit because I don't think you were clueless to what was going on. I know that the sisters had cut Ruby off. Ruby had cut the sisters off. So maybe they weren't privy to everything, but I don't think it's fair to say you just couldn't anticipate at all. Because if you couldn't anticipate at all, you wouldn't already be working with CPS because you would have no concerns about it. I'm not loving this video so far.
Ruby from the 8 passengers. And my sisters and I, we are on the very same page. We put out a message. You can read that on Instagram. And for the last 3 years, we have truly clung on to each other and offering support to one another. And I don't think any of us could have ever seen this coming. We all did as much as we could legally.
Again, I don't understand what she means by we couldn't have seen this coming, because if you mean jail time, does that mean that you were all working hard to keep Ruby out of jail? Like, I'm trying to understand what the shocking part is for you, because you seem to know that your sister was unhinged, which is why the separation between the family happened. You knew it was bad enough to go to CPS, so I'm not understanding where the shocking part comes in. It sounds like it would go exactly how a child abuse case is supposed to go. Or I mean, how it would ideally go is the abuser gets arrested at the end. So I'm having trouble finding what is so new and what this new development is that you weren't prepared for.
And you don't know what you don't know. I do feel
that is true.
A little bit numb at this point. The only thing that we ultimately care about is that our nieces and nephews are safe, and they are. And that is the only thing that matters to any of us. It is going to feel weird for me to move forward, and do I just move forward?
She's like looking off camera at someone, kind of like disrupted the flow a little bit.
Just take it a day at a time. Who knows what anything has in store, but we just know right now that...
Okay, this is something that you talk about with your therapist. I feel like this is capitalizing a little bit. I'm not negating that she's hurt and they're probably torn apart. I mean, this is horrible to think that someone in your family could do this, but the tears and this other stuff, I think it's unnecessary. I think if you really needed to say something beyond your Instagram statement, you could have come on and been like, hey, we all released an Instagram statement stating how we feel. We're going to take a bit off social media because it doesn't feel right to continue, because it should not feel right to you to continue to run around and vlog with your children after this. It should not feel like a normal next step for you.
Those kids are safe.
I don't have any thoughts even for myself.
Then why are you making this video?
I don't know what I would even tell myself, let alone tell all of you.
Then don't get on camera.
I think times like these is where it really tests your belief in God. And I know that timing is everything. And I know that they will be taken care of. I know the kids will be okay. And I know our family will be okay. And things like this happen, and somehow we each find a way to move forward.
Things like this do not happen. Just want to step in there. Things like this do not happen. They should not happen.
No matter what situation you're finding yourself in, the sun rises every day, the sun sets every day, and each day you move forward That's all you can do.
I didn't like that statement. I'm going to be honest. It was not hitting for me. I think you should have left that one in the drafts. Also, there's a new NBC article about how Ruby's neighbors were actually trying to get Child Protective Services involved as well. Now, I will say this. I am not a mother, so I don't understand everything that goes into Child Protective Services. I won't say that I do, but I do know the smallest shred of defense I can give here to the family is that I have heard it is very convoluted. I have heard there are many children that go without help until it's too late. The system is broken and it is flawed. I don't know how much of that contributes here. I feel like I would really have to know the insides and outs of it, but for this to be happening for so long and so publicly, I mean, you're basically uploading the evidence to the internet where it's going to live forever. It does seem a little strange that something didn't happen sooner. I'm not saying the family wasn't trying, but I'm saying I feel like maybe something else could have been tried. NBC News posted an article titled, "Neighbors Say They Tried to Help Ruby Frankie's Kids Before YouTuber's Arrest on Child Abuse Charges." One neighbor said she called Utah's Department of Health and Human Services seeking help for the kids. Neighbors of Ruby Frank, the woman behind the 8 Passengers Family YouTube channel who was arrested this week on child abuse charges, said several people in the close-knit community were concerned when police officers arrived at the Frankie's home in Springville, Utah on Wednesday. Frankie was sometimes criticized on social media for how she treated her children in YouTube videos. The 2 neighbors who spoke on the condition of anonymity, citing concerns for their safety, said that they and others who lived near the family had long been worried for the safety of the children and that neighbors in the community had previously alerted the Utah Division of Child and Family Services. "Everyone is just breathing a collective sigh of relief because we thought they were going to come out of that house with body bags," a male neighbor said. That is really disturbing. I mean, that's very morbid and you'd never want to think of that happening to anyone, let alone a child. That's just really sad that people felt like it was getting to this point. And I also felt like it was getting to this point, which I will discuss a little later. In a video shared with NBC News, law enforcement officers surround the home with guns drawn. Neighbors said Frankie would insert herself into other neighbors' lives. One neighbor cited an instance in which Frankie gave a sermon-like lecture over what she called inappropriate posters of women posing in shorts that were displayed in a garage. Girl, why the fuck do you care? Listen, neighbors really can be some of the most annoying. Like, why do you care? Mind your business. Why don't you, instead of taking time to criticize your neighbors, go feed your children and take care of them? Frankie kicked her husband, Kevin, out of the home last year, a source with knowledge of their relationship said. Frankie did not immediately return multiple phone calls and emails seeking comment about her arrest and allegations from her neighbors. It was unclear whether Frankie has retained an attorney. Reached for comment, Kevin Frank directed NBC News to his attorney, Randy Kester, who did not respond to multiple requests for comment about the arrest or requests for a comment about the neighbor's allegations. They also claimed that after her husband was out of the home, Frankie would leave the house for weeks at a time with the children inside. Is that living in truth? I don't think so. Sounds like living like a damn fool that doesn't deserve to have children. I remember that she took away their Christmas one year, the male neighbor said, and she would say things like they're not repenting correctly, which is a Mormon term for they're sinning, just complete insanity. The male neighbor recalled how Frankie's youngest daughter, Eve, who was about 10 years old, would wander the neighborhood while her mother was away for prolonged periods after she kicked Kevin Frank out of the house. Eve would look for companions in the community, the neighbor said. That is so sad. The neighbors said it did not seem like she was attending school. The Nebo school district, which represents that Springville area, did not immediately reply to a request for comment. She would just knock on your door and say, "Hi, can your kids play?" he recalled. And we're like, "Well, they're at school. They won't be home for 3 or 4 hours." And she'd be like, "I'll wait," he added. She's like this lost child. That is so sad. This is just getting worse by the minute. Officials said 2 children were taken to a hospital in St. George, Utah, about 255 miles southwest of Springville, where neighbors said Frankie spent much of her time with Jody Hildebrandt. Okay, this is going to be scandalous and very, very, very alleged, but I wonder if they're in like a romantic relationship. I know that's very against their religion, but their relationship seems extremely strange to me. And also, it's 2023. Just be gay if you gotta be gay, but don't be weird about it and make your children go through all this. Neighbors said Frankie began spending more time away from her home in Springville after she got involved with Hildebrandt's Life Counseling Service Connections, which has been criticized online for how it teaches parenting to its followers. The teachings include prioritizing the organization's principles of truth over people's children. Hildebrandt did not immediately reply to multiple requests for comment. It is unclear whether she has an attorney. A female neighbor said she and others in the community had tried to get authorities to intervene for at least a year. The female neighbor said she thought things were bad for the children, but she said she was deeply upset after she learned about the condition they were found in. That same neighbor said, "I'm really angry because I spoke up, other people spoke up," she said, and nothing happened. The female neighbor said she and others in the neighborhood asked the Utah Division of Child and Family Services to intervene multiple times. The female neighbor said she made an initial call to CPS around September 2022. She then got a voicemail, which she shared with NBC News in response. In the voicemail, a person who identified herself as working for Child Protective Services said she was talking with someone who has some concerns about someone in your area. The State Health and Human Services Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Really, I wonder why. I wonder if there's some things that are going on there that are illegal. If there's some cover-ups going on. Sounds like we got some shady stuff happening. The female neighbor said she hopes Frankie's children know that some members of the Springville community have long hoped authorities would step in to help them. "I want those kids to know that the community loves them and wants them to be safe," she said tearfully. "If people knew the amount of tears and time spent talking with law enforcement and CPS over the last year, I want people to understand that. And I want those kids to know that because I think they thought they were abandoned." That is just gut-wrenching. I mean, this is really tough. One last development with this story, YouTube did take down the Connections channel. On Friday evening, in a statement emailed to NBC News, YouTube confirmed it had terminated 2 accounts associated with Frankie, although it did not specify the accounts by name. "We can confirm that we have terminated 2 channels linked to Ruby Frankie in accordance with our creator responsibility guidelines," the statement read. Kind of shit that you just let it last this long, YouTube, because people have been talking about abuse coming from this channel. YouTube said it terminated the 2 channels following Frankie's arrest, saying the platform may terminate a channel if its owner is accused of a serious crime. You didn't do that for James Charles. And the content of the channel is closely related to the alleged crime. You let a lot of people slip through the cracks then, YouTube. YouTube added that Frankie will no longer be allowed to use, own, or create an account on the platform. I'm sure she will find a workaround around that. So, and I'm sure YouTube will low-key behind the scenes help her because they like their money. They don't care who it comes from or what criminal it comes from. As long as you're pulling in the views, they will find a way to get you back on there. I have no doubt about it. That is the update. I know it was a big update. I'm sure it will continue to evolve. I wonder if they're going to release their mugshots. I think that'll be interesting. But the neighbor's story does listen, one of these days I'm going to learn how to say this word correctly. Corroborate. Corroborate. The neighbor's story does corroborate the family story by saying, you know, we all were trying. We promise you we weren't just letting this happen behind closed doors without any repercussions. We were trying. We were not being listened to. We were being ignored. That does give that a little bit more validity. However, I don't know. I just think it's all a bit strange. It's been happening for a while. And another point that was brought up was this whole family has their own channel and they're not small platforms. They're pretty decent sized platforms. So the question of the general public is, why didn't you use your platform to speak on these allegations? I understand you don't want to get too messy legally, but if it was really to a point where children are being duct taped, malnourished, they have severe lacerations on them, they're being abused, at that point, I feel like it would have been good for someone to come out and say, hey, we've been trying to do this the right way, but we're getting ignored by law enforcement and child protective services, and we need your help. These children need help. I understand also when you're in abusive situations, it can be testy. It can be difficult to navigate because you don't want the abuser to see this and get spooked and take it a step farther to where the children get even more seriously injured or worse. I do understand that. I do, however, think that posting like you're doing just fine, doing these family vlogs while all this is happening, I don't think that's appropriate. I think you should learn from your sister that family channels are not right. And I think you should have used your platform more, even if it meant navigating a way to make sure the children are safe first. I don't know, but that should have happened. And I do wonder where the husband is. He said he was speaking through his attorney who didn't comment. There are people saying that it sounds like he is also trying to get the kids away from Ruby. I hope that's true. This is just a giant mess. And everyone in this situation, I want to say, should be ashamed of themselves, but I don't think they have that level of empathy and self-awareness. So I hope you get the prison sentences you deserve. The justice system can be really messed up, especially depending on your skin tone. And I hope that these women get exactly the punishment that is owed to them, and nothing more, nothing less. Honestly, it could be more if you want. Stack on all you want. She deserves to be locked away for at least a little. Obviously, this is huge news because I feel like a lot of family channels have been able to exploit their children with no repercussions at all. I mean, there's a lot of crimes that happen on YouTube that have evidence of them on YouTube and nothing happens. I mean, look at James Charles. So I think the fact that something actually happened, besides the police report detailing how the children were found, shows how bad this really was. I am glad that they are arrested. I honestly think, based on the little tiny snippets of what I saw, it kind of looked like it was snowballing into a Lori Vallow situation. If you don't know, Lori Vallow was sort of in a cult with her boyfriend, and they were very religious. They thought the end of times was coming, and she unfortunately ended the lives of her 2 children. And that's how I feel like a lot of very intense religious situations have the potential to go. I'm not criticizing religion as a whole, but I do think it has a tendency to make people not know how to think for themselves, to be easily manipulated and catastrophized to the point of doing some really disgraceful things. And I don't know if it was her religion that caused her to think this way. I don't know if she's just off as a person, but regardless, I think that this is beyond devastating. I mean, what these kids had to go through, I can't even imagine. I truly don't know what goes through your head and allows you to put duct tape on a child, not feed a child, punish a child for no reason. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I hope that they get the help they need, because they need a lot of it. And I am wishing nothing but the best for the children, because this is so heinous to me. That's all I have to say. Just health and healing for the children and the family and everybody in this situation who needs it, because that is horrible. All children deserve parents. Not all parents deserve children. I know that's cliche, but seriously, some of y'all really, like, you should truly have to pass a test before you can just walk out of the hospital with a baby. I definitely feel like after this, we'll try to talk about some lighter topics and just get a cleanse going, because this is heavy. If you want me to do more of a deep dive on everything that happened before this, let me know. That's what I'm gonna leave it at now, because I do need to keep this episode fairly short because I'm sick as hell, girl. I'm dizzy, the room's spinning. So we're gonna move to our next topic. Bill Sesh, love you, girl, but I am pissed off at you. She just released a video called "Where is Gabbie Hanna?" And I swear to you, I had been planning to film that video for months, because I was like wondering earlier this year, I was like, where did she go? Because I remember her posting that she was getting rid of her tattoos, and then it was just like radio silence, which I have never seen from her before. Those of you who don't know, my main channel, Lilac, actually started from me doing song reviews of her songs. She used to comment on my videos. I was a fan. I used to fangirl really, really hard. And over time, with each scandal, I got less and less supportive. All my support cut off when the Justy Smiles situation happened, because I am a victim as well. And I just thought how she treated her was so despicable. And I love Justy Smiles. And, you know, the Kenza Cosmetics thing was one thing, but that was just a whole other thing. And she just kept being so mean-spirited and just bitter and evil, like with Rachel Oates and Oliver. And, you know, there really is just a never-ending list of people that I was like, I can no longer support this person. Then there was a short period of time where people thought she was manic because she was posting hundreds of TikToks in a very short span. She was being nonsensical. She was being racist. She was being transphobic. She was not making any sense. She was going on religious tangents and just clearly having a mental health crisis. Shortly after that was when she disappeared. And then I started going on Twitter and seeing, had she posted anything? Had anything happened? Like, what happened to her? And other people were worried as well. All I had managed to find was a Google review saying that she is somewhere not in LA. I'm not going to say that, even though it's a public review, because it still feels like doxing, but she wasn't in LA. So I thought, good for her. Then I see the Spill Sesh video and I see that she's done an interview. And honestly, she looks way better. There are parts of myself that I see in Gabbie Hanna with the way that she acts and how passionate she is. And I also feel very pressured to be on social media all day, every day, even though my mental health cannot take take it. I push past it. And so seeing her in this podcast looking much healthier, talking about how she could admit, because if you don't remember, accountability was not her strong suit. Her basically talking about, I'm really dizzy over here, like about to take a puke break kind of dizzy. Good thing I got a brand deal for motion sick pills. And no, I'm not joking. Grab all. Let's see if they work. Because girl, ooh. Okay, I don't even remember what I was saying. But basically, it was good to see Gabbie Hanna in an interview where she admitted that she fed into narcissism and just pushed herself past her limits because she wanted to be famous. That is something I can really relate to. I actually think fame is a little scary, but I do want my music to be on the largest scale it can be, mainly because music helped me, it saved me. I don't think I would be alive without it, and I want that same safe space for other people. Music makes me feel like a person. It makes me feel like I have a purpose, and I felt that passion from her, which got a little bit intense in ways, especially in her series where she was trying to expose everybody, which did not work out because everybody came back right around and exposed her. So it's nice to see her in a seemingly more healthy mindset, and she said that she is in no rush to get back to the internet, which I think is spot on and healthy for her. She was saying basically what's for you will never pass you, which I believe as well, and it was just really refreshing. Her reputation does precede her in a lot of ways, and her online reputation has not been good at all. And honestly, I do think her music is good. I think she has talent, but it was just overshadowed by all of this bad behavior. So it's good to see her taking a step back. I hope when she does come back that she's better and knows how to handle social media in a way that works for her. I think that's something we're all figuring out, including myself. But yeah, that was really cool to see. Okay, editing me here for the last time, I swear. But when I talked about this segment, I had only seen the few clips that Spill Sesh had posted, and I have since seen the full podcast with Gabbie Hanna. And I'm going to insert some clips because she is, and I never thought I would say this, really speaking facts. This version of her is a version I didn't think I was ever going to see. There were times where I thought that maybe she might be too far gone, but she's really young. So, I didn't really think that, but she had really become infamous on the internet for just being ruthless. And I think it's evident that the time away from the internet has done her well. She's articulate, she's well spoken, she's wise. She was giving advice that I was finding extremely helpful, especially as someone who does feel like I don't have time to rest. I have to overwork myself. And if you know me in real life, you know that I overwork myself. It's a problem. I don't sleep. I don't take care of my health because I'm constantly like, I have to work through it so I can keep up with these trends and do all these things. And I find it very easy to get lost in that. And me being a singer, I have, or really just a creative in general, I have the worst fear of failure. Like I'm already too late. I already missed my chance. And that can be incredibly crippling and debilitating. You're not a failure. You have your whole life. Some people don't get their lives together till their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're having a blast when they do. There's no age limit. You're not too late. You're not too old. I have to remind myself of that constantly. It's okay to take a step back and take a break. Social media will be there whenever you come back, and you being uniquely you doesn't have an expiration date on it. And don't quote me on that because I'm still learning it myself, and I have a very unhealthy relationship with social media and a fear of failure. But you know what? We're working on it.
I don't think that any of us were meant to be like famous. I don't think any of us were supposed to have followers. Wow. I don't think any of us were supposed to idolize ourselves in that way. When it comes to being famous, like what's your intention?
Face imposter syndrome, and if so, what advice would you give to people who are dealing with that?
Dude, yes, absolutely. Now that I look back and I'm like, oh, was it imposter syndrome or was it actually something inside of me saying that you actually don't deserve this because you are not the person you think you are? 2 or 3 years ago, when I felt like I was kind of being uplifted and not knowing where I was supposed to go next, I still didn't feel any semblance of success. And I had to keep reminding myself, like, you've done all of these things. You've accumulated all of these things. What is it that's going to actually make you feel okay? And it was because everything that I had accumulated, I didn't feel like I deserved. It's like, oh, I placed here on this chart, but it's only because like I had YouTube followers. And it's like, oh, I placed here on this list, but it's only because I had YouTube followers. And it's like, well, why did I get those YouTube followers? So yeah, I definitely faced it. I think the advice would be, as long as you're working for something that genuinely matters and try to not lead with yourself and your fame and your glory, then there is no imposter syndrome. Redefine success. What is success to you? Is it money? Is it fame? At what point does that end? Is it a certain award you think you're going to get and all of a sudden it's going to feel better? Because probably not. It's going to be like, are you happy? It sounds so corny, but like as somebody who had, and I mean, still can manage a lot. You know what I mean? That's not where the happiness comes from. The happiness came from when I was like, oh, this isn't actually at all what I want. I don't want the attention of all these people. I actually really prefer privacy and alone time. I don't like hustle culture. I don't like the grind. It's bad for you. If you really have the faith that every single aspect of your life, every little detail was perfectly designed for you, you start looking at stuff differently. Like, why did that happen? And you start humbling yourself too, because you're like, okay, something about this, like my life's not going good right now. Where am I wrong? Oh, I'm not as generous as I should be. Oh, I haven't been as grateful as I should be. I've been complaining a lot. I've been like squabbling over dumb things. And then all of a sudden when you start addressing those things, you'll start feeling like that grace over you again. And like the weight will start to lift. And then you remember, oh, this is like a fraction of my life. Like this is such a small piece of my soul's existence that it doesn't matter.
You're so freaking well informed on all these things.
Got a lot of alone time.
And tell me, what are you hoping to discover in this break?
This is just a season of rest for me, because even from like 2019 to 2022, I feel like I was telling myself that I was taking a break, but I still always had these like looming projects. Like I put 2 albums out last year in my year of a break, right? And like there's always just something where like, oh, well, what am I? Am I an author? Am I a painter? Am I a singer? Like last year I did my first shows with my music where I was like, let me see if this is what I want to be doing. And then I feel like I kind of exhausted all of the things that I knew I needed to try to feel at peace. And then this year I want to legitimately just rest and like spend a lot of time just in meditation and prayer, working on my health, working on organization, trying to be as minimal as possible, because I've accumulated so much stuff just out of not giving myself the time to actually space it out and like, you know what I mean? I just want to exist as a person. Like we're supposed to just exist, dude. Like look at your cats, look at your dogs, look at animals. They just chill. And if you can get yourself to just sit, no TV, no music, and just be like, wow, I'm in a body right now.
So my time of solitude allowed me to discover that indeed there is no purpose. The only purpose is to be.
We're human beings, not human doings.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we get in touch with that? What are some of your
I think the first step is to get off social media. Truly, it eats so much of your time. It eats so much of your mental space. They're basically fighting for our attention all the time. Like every social media platform, they're literally being warned by the people they had on their staff. Like, this is dangerous. We need to like put some type of warning or something. And then the executives just fire them, because they want to capitalize on your time. It goes beyond corporate greed.
I think anybody who's serious about life has to pause, has to reevaluate.
I chose to be celibate at this point in my life. And it wasn't because like, I'm afraid I'm going to go to hell about, like, it's nothing about that. It was just like, oh, my body is genuinely a temple. And the reason that was put in place is because God doesn't want me to have a soul tie with someone who's not meant for me. Being whole, like people say like, oh, my other half. I don't want 50% of anybody.
There you go.
And I don't want to be 50% of myself. Like I want to be 100% me.
There you go.
You be 100% you.
Go.
And like, I don't want somebody to take care of me. I need to take care of myself. You get in a relationship, like still take care of yourself. You better be eating the same, working out the same, on your grind the same, like meditating the same, taking care of your mental health the same, doing all that stuff, and take care of yourself too. Like don't drop your self-care just because you're caring for someone else. People lose their alone time when they start dating. When I start dating again, I'm still going to be alone. Yeah.
You know,
when you decided to take a break, did you start to feel like you didn't exist at any point?
From what perspective? Like online, or in like me didn't exist? Like I'm in a dream?
Honestly, I like personally for a minute, it was like, am I real? Do I exist? Because so much of my life was online.
I see what you're saying.
And I was like I was also isolated in my house. You know what I mean? So did you ever like start feeling like, damn, I really don't exist?
No, because my identity was never tied to that.
Man, God bless you for that, because mine was big time.
When you do come back, what do you want your impact to be?
Whatever it's meant to be. Just let whatever's supposed to happen, and like hopefully lead people to a more, I think, peaceful state of being. And like, I feel like I put out so many negative examples out there that I'd like to really reverse that. Yeah,
everyone can be redeemed.
Getting out of that mindset, especially with social media, of like, wait a minute, here's all the trends, and if I don't get on it now, nah, dude. That's the beauty of just like having faith in God and a plan. It's just like, if it's meant to happen, It's gonna happen. And I don't have to try that hard because it is literally all out of my control. So just let it go. Pride is the most dangerous thing. Pride and vanity. I feel like those were my two things.
I know this video was supposed to be short. Unfortunately, with all these updates and all of this, it's ending up being longer than I thought. There will be chapters as always, but I think her words could benefit a lot of people. And I highly suggest watching the interview in its entirety. I will leave the link in the description. I also think this is one of the first interviews I've seen her with an interviewer that is very calming. And I think she needs that. A lot of other interviews for her have been people exploiting her poor mental health in the past, and they've exacerbated her moods and not in a good way. And I think this interviewer is calming and very peaceful, and in turn she is very calming and very peaceful. This is truly the person I started following in the first place. Like, this is the Gabbie that I saw originally, and it's really nice to see her back. I think this time away has really done her well, and I congratulate her for that, because there are a lot of people that say, you know what, I'm really going to take a social media break, but they don't, because those pressures come in. If I don't post all the time 25/8, someone's going to come in and replace me. And I think her just finding peace within herself and knowing that whatever she does next is best for her and her impact is going to be her impact and she doesn't have to force it is something that I personally really needed to hear. And I'm actually excited for her to come back. I'm not excusing her past behavior. I still think she's done some abhorrent things, but I also know that me personally, as someone who gets pushed and pushed and pushed and has my boundaries pushed constantly by people, I have been messy on the internet too, and I have exploded on the internet too. And I think the most important thing that I try to preach in every one of these episodes is, as long as you're learning and growing and holding yourself accountable, that's what matters. We can't be 100% all the time. Sometimes we're going to lash out, especially if you're a prominent figure on the internet and you have hundreds of thousands of people that don't know you telling you you're the worst person in the world and you should not exist anymore. When the reality is we've all said some hurtful, hateful things. It can be a lot. I support her taking as much time as she needs, and I am eager to see what happens when she comes back. No updates on the Johnny Silvestri, Joshua David Evans interview yet, but as soon as I see one, I will tell you. I think that's all I really have for you today. I genuinely have a migraine and I'm about to vomit.
And then I did puke, I totally did.
I threw up. Don't forget to stream my music. I'm trying to get to 100K on my newest single. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We are growing so fast. I'm so happy. We're gonna need like a little group name, you know? Like Beyonce has her beehive, that's what it is. We're gonna need one too. So comment that below. I will see you next time. Bye.
You better get in line. I'm everybody's dream girl. See me when you lay your head down at night. Baby, just keep it pushing. I don't need your double taps. If I'm being honest, I'ma leave you on red.